Hello, this is the first video of a multi-part series of me documenting the 4.0 turbo 6-cylinder to big block Ford 460 swap in my 2007 V6 Mustang. And basically I'm going to go over right now the removal of the 6-cylinder engine. So first, before you do any like engine modifications or messing with electrical stuff, you gotta make sure your windows don't get caught on the door frame because they're roll up, roll down windows. So what I do is I just slightly open the door on each side, then I go and I disconnect the battery, and that way it's just like, it's perfect. So the window's still sealed, and that way the windows don't get caught, because what happens is when the windows are up, it catches this little frame right there, and it can break the glass. It's happened before to people. This is the last of the turbo 6-cylinder V6 Mustang that you'll be seeing before the kit sells, and it goes to another owner, and you can, of course I'll mention them and give you their social media and stuff, but yep, this is it. No more engine. So I just started the disassembly of the car, and for the past few weeks or months, I haven't really driven the car much. I've driven it maybe 3 times in the past couple months. I thought it felt weird, and today my suspicions were confirmed. That little puddle right there is just a tiny bit of what's inside the oil catch can, and if you look at the color and the consistency, that is coolant mixed with oil. So this poor old lady has a blown head gasket, which is unfortunate because I was planning on selling the engine separately from the turbo kit, but it looks like I am not able to do that now. Oh well, I mean, it was only going to be $400, but it's a loss. Alright, I have a bunch of stuff off the car. I took a lot of intercooler and charge piping off, turbos off. It's in great condition. There's like no shaft play. I'm surprised. I've used like 2-step on this thing, and I've been shooting like crazy, ridiculous flames out the hood for about a year now, and there's still absolutely nothing. It's like brand new. Still spins good too. Crazy. But yeah, that is the progress so far. So we have reached the stage. I've taken my hood off of the car. What I've recently done is, oh god, you can't see it, but right there, this little line runs to the condenser for the AC. You want to crack open the little nut on it and pull back on the line as you crack the nut, because that way you'll get an accurate idea of how much gas you're letting out, and you're going to bleed the AC system. And you don't want to breed this. So if you have if you live in an apartment like this, if you have an exhaust vent, turn it on like I did, or open up your garage door if you're working in the garage, or if you're outside, you're perfectly fine. This is really bad for the environment though. If you can afford to spare some change, if you're swapping an engine, if you can afford to spare some change to get a collection kit, that is much preferred, and do it the proper way. But this is the way that I had to do, because my swap cost $6,500 and I couldn't spare the few hundred for the collection system. I had a little spillage, but I drained the coolant into a little bin that's back there, and yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. Also, I have disconnected my drive shaft. You can't really see it too well. You can sort of see it, but yeah, I've disconnected the drive shaft and I'm working on the rear right now. Once that's done, the transmission is separate, and yeah, that's it. So, update on the progress of the teardown. The engine is looking very barren in here, and took all the intercooler piping off except for the intercooler itself. That's gonna come later because it's stuck on, and that's a long explanation why. But yeah, so intercooler piping's off. I dropped the transmission cross member. You can't see it, But I did, and I'll show you back here. It's right there. And the transmission is sitting on the jack. I'm gonna take the jack off because it's okay to rest it, to leave it sitting. In my opinion, it's okay. I'm not really sure, but I've done it before and it's perfectly fine. Actually, maybe not, but yeah, I'm just gradually making some progress. Next to do is I need to remove the AC line, the high pressure AC line from somewhere over here. I don't really remember. And yeah, it'll be in the next update. I should have learned my lesson the first time to keep the collection container ready for collection even if you don't think any liquid's going to come out, because I wasn't expecting a flood of coolant to come out of the water pump because I thought I had drained it all. But you live and you learn, and now there is a massive puddle underneath my car. So this is where I'm at with the removal of the 4.0 engine. I have the intake manifold off. I'm able to keep my exhaust on because it wraps around underneath the transmission, so it shouldn't affect anything. There's nothing connected to the car exhaust wise. I have the AC drained completely and the topmost high pressure line disconnected. Yeah, there is currently only one thing left, well, two things, the motor mounts, but one thing left connecting the car to the engine, and that is the power lines, there's this bolt that goes to these wires at the back of the engine, but it is impossible to reach for me. I'm gonna keep trying though, and I may just get it when I start pulling the engine out. But what I did was I went to Advanced Auto and I got some bolts, some grade 10.8 or 10.9 bolts, and these are M8 by 1.25, I believe, and these will go into where the fuel line or the fuel rail, I'll just show you, where the fuel rail was mounted. So these big holes right here is where they're gonna go. And I have adequate washers for my hoist set up for the chains, so it can just drop in and hold strong. Alright, so the engine is now at an almost 45-degree angle. I just need to drop the car down, and yeah, it should come out somewhat smoothly. Just gotta deal with all this shit up here. Ooh, yeah, excuse my language, sorry, I swear a lot. Yeah, it's coming out pretty well. Alright, so the engine is very close to being out. It does look like this, I forgot to undo this line, and you're definitely gonna forget to do stuff too unless you're a goddamn genius. Or you have some mechanical intelligence. Let me just fix this shit real quick. Okay, I'll fix that in a bit. But I ran into an issue. So as you see with my roof, I was not at one point while I was on jack stand, I was not able to get the engine out. But because the car's too low, and it would have sat on the lift. But luckily I had these tire saver things that I use for my slicks, and they have saved the day because they gave me that tiny little bit of clearance that I needed, and now I'm able to pull this engine out, hopefully. So we will see, and I'll update once it's out. Alright, after a lot of long, hard work, check that out. There is no engine in the engine bay anymore. It was ridiculous. I ran out of room on my in the ceiling. The top of this, you can see it was scraping. It was scraping against the roof, and it took a bit of concrete out. But yeah, if you look down here, you got my turbo V6 4.0 engine, and back there you got the rest of the turbo parts like intercooler piping and miscellaneous stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of work, I'll tell you that. And if you're alone, I just did this in an apartment garage all by myself. If you do it alone, one, congratulations, and two, good luck, because it is really challenging. I forgot a few things, so if you, I don't know if you can see it, but if you look into the engine bay, you can see my shifter on the ground. I forgot to disconnect it, and it got stuck in the shifter boot. Yeah, there were just a few things I forgot to do. My AC line got caught, and it started tugging, and the engine almost ripped it in half. And yeah. So, quick update. Past few days I haven't been really working on the car, because when I was taking off this K-member to install the new one, I smashed my thumb with a hammer, and yeah, I had to go to the hospital. It was bleeding really badly. There was a puddle of blood back there, but we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, so I got the K-member out, and new one is going in. Well, was going in, but either my frame isn't straight, which isn't true because there's zero frame damage to this car. It's never been in an accident. It's never hit anything. Or the AJE K-member was manufactured incorrectly. I'm going to have to side with that, because I can't get the bolts in for the rear of the K-member. It's either I get the bolts in for this side and that side doesn't fit, or I get the bolts in for that side and this side doesn't fit just slightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to take it off, bring it upstairs, and notch the holes for this side so it can go in properly, which is unfortunate because it means I won't be able to get the engine in today, because I have to go to work in a couple hours. But yeah, it's what has to be done. Alright, so the new K-member is completely installed. I have the motor mounts in there just to mock it up. I'm about to put the engine in. K-member is complete. A-arms are attached and torqued to spec. Getting a big note, or not a big note, but a small note for the steering column is you have to have it unbolted to get the steering shaft in. You have to slide the steering column in as you slide the steering shaft into the connector right there. I didn't realize that at first, but yeah, so you have to do that. Mine fit absolutely perfectly. There is no adjustment available. There's no play in it, so luckily that means I don't have to spend a few hours squaring the K-member, which is highly recommended. If you do have any play in it, there's no left-right, there's no forward-backwards movement in mine at all. It's dead on. Yeah, with the back I did have to notch the 2 bolts, but that caused it to fit perfectly. I measured the frame, the little mount to the frame on that side and that side, and it is exactly the same. So that means it is left-right square. Forwards, backwards, I pushed it back as far as it would go, and I said there's no play in it. I can't get it to move forwards or backwards anymore, so that means it's 4.5 square. So it's great. Yep, motor time. Let's get it started. Now fully seated in the engine bay. I don't have the transmission attached or anything, but I'm just getting this basically set up so I can start preparing the car for driving and running. I'm very pleased to say that the stock 6-cylinder Mustang radiator hose, once you cut, I don't remember where I put the hose, probably over here. Well, it doesn't matter. But if you cut 3 inches off of it, it looks like a near stock radiator hose, like this engine was meant to be here. And yeah, I'm gonna get The fan on, and I don't think it's gonna fit actually. So yeah, well, the engine's as far back as it goes, which means either the radiator's got to move forward or I got to get a new electric fan, or the water pump pulley needs to be smaller, which it can be. Well, we'll see if it fits. If it doesn't, then things can change. But yeah. Headers will be going on tomorrow. I'll be test fitting those. I messed up my arm when I was pushing the engine through the garage, or to the garage, and it doesn't feel right, so I'm not gonna test it or do anything heavy today. Just small stuff. Yeah, that is a big block Ford 460 powered S197 Mustang. That wraps up part one of the 460 swapped S197 series. There will be more videos coming out as I get parts and install them onto the car. I still have about $5,500 left to put into this swap. Right now I'm working on whether or not I can run this water pump, electric water pump or not, because as you see by the clearance, it does not clear the stock fan shroud and fan assembly. Sadly, so I'm either going to get a new electric water pump, which is slimmer, or a new electric fan. I haven't really decided yet, because this electric water pump is a little bit small, and I plan to street this car occasionally. It's not just going to be race all the time. Yeah, it's in the car, and it kind of blows my mind that it is, but it fits really well. There's a ton of space between the valve covers and the shock towers. I'm going to be I intend on using the Fox Body swap Fox Body 460 swap headers. I'm going to be the first one that has ever mounted them in an S197 body, and it looks like they're going to fit, but I will be the one that determines that. Passenger side might have some more issues because it is a lot less room. There's nothing blocking it, but there's just a lot less room than the driver's side for some odd reason. And the driver's side, the steering column may get in the way, so what I might have to do is I might have to bang up the headers and route the steering column through them, which would be annoying, but it is what it is, and it's cheaper than making a $1,000 pair of stainless headers. Yeah, just some more clips of the engine. Yeah, it's pretty mad. See ya.